My name is Johnny Cassidy. If you want to learn a little bit more about authenticity of the musical, my play at Stephanie Fieri in August at the Hollywood Fringe Festival, listen to this conversation. I fell in love with theater when I was in high school. And I've always been into television and kids TV ever since I wanted to be little, and that's usually been like primarily what I want to do. But when I saw that like theater has a very family friendly aspect, I saw that I'm not just limited to television, and I knew that I wanted to write specifically for any kind of teenage or children like audience. So that, and I was like, oh, okay, I don't have to be limited to just TV. And so I wanted to do theater too. I became obsessed with writing when I was probably in like middle school. I didn't have a lot of friends, but like I really liked making people laugh. And it's hard to make people laugh when you're not friends with them because they don't always like the jokes. So I found myself writing skits and writing short TV shows. And then I found that made people laugh. And then I just kind of found my confidence and myself in doing that. And eventually like it allowed me to gain the connections like I've always wanted, and like actually tell stories that I really wanted to tell. And it just opened a lot of doors for me emotionally, and it made my life a lot more purposeful. And that's kind of like why I fell into it. The theatrical experience is very unique because I'm used to film and television, and it's a lot more concise, but the stage allows you to be more authentic in ways that you can't do on film. On film, you can get up really close and really kind of like tune into what the person's thinking. But when you're on stage, you can kind of even not so close, you could really feel the emotions of the characters a lot more, because it adds a space for the actors to feel and for the audience to be receptive. And that's like a whole new field that you can't get on screen. So it's kind of like now I could put people in front of other people and kind of try to communicate emotions as opposed to lines, and as opposed to shots, which is really cool, because it's like you could empathize so much more, and you could project onto the character a little bit easier. It's less judgmental. It's more of the relationship between the audience and the person, as opposed to any other format. My process from taking an idea to stage is it's pretty simple. I try to write every day, and when I notice themes are consistent and a lot of them are consistent with each other, I start to develop a bigger idea of what I'm trying to talk about. And once I have like a secure sense of self and what I'm trying to put out into the world is when I know I'm onto something. And I just kind of take ideas. I'm not somebody who takes his time, like really thinks about it. No, like I just write every day. And I try to keep everything with the sole base of I'm trying to entertain somebody, but I'm also trying to pursue this greater idea of how I would like people to think and act, and kind of showing it on stage or on screen. And that passion drives me to finish these stories. Everything I set up, I try to get to, and then I pick out the most important one for like the time that's going on in our world, and like what I think is worth speaking about in the moment. And that's when I really commit to a project and spend all my time on it. But for the most part, I'm always trying to be working on something. I heard about the Fringe a while ago. My musical started out as a feature film, because I've made a bunch of shows and I had an audience for them. And I wanted to make a feature film. So I or I wanted to make a stage show. So I wrote Authenticity the Musical as a stage show, and then COVID happened, and I realized that it wasn't super easy to put on a stage show at this time. But I already had the film, degree. I mean, I didn't have the degree, but like I was already working in film. Like TV shows came so much more natural to film, to production. I already had a bunch of teams for that. So I was like, I might as well use the resources I have instead of jump into a new thing right this second. So then we filmed the movie, and that like kind of worked for COVID, and itched the scratch. I wanted to get this film out. And when we started sending it to film festivals, and me realizing the message still isn't really enough yet, is when I was like, okay, there's no better time than now to, while this is in film festivals, let's put this into the Fringe Festival. So that way we're promoting through the theater industry while this is like premiering in other film festivals. So now we are trying to, there was like no better time for this show than to show up at film festivals, see this movie playing for audiences, be like, hey, come to my Fringe show. And, going to the Fringe show being like, hey, the movie's going to come out in a couple months. So I thought it would be best to cross promote through that. And really, like, I mean, the most important part of it is also just the message. I was like, coming out of COVID, I need Fringe as a platform to affordably tell this story about like cyberbullying and technology, because I feel like it was at an all-time high for the past year, and it just influenced me to make sure I was in the Fringe. The Theater Asylum, I really wanted to have my Fringe show there because I really liked the space. I was able to see all the other spaces, but that was the only space where I felt like there was enough room for all 10 of my actors, and also still not getting rid of the intimacy I needed the audience to feel with the characters. Because when you get too far away from them, it gets a little bit harder to connect. And in this space, it's very close together, and to able to feel what the actors are feeling a lot more closer was like kind of something I was always going for. And being a technology based show, like I want them on their phones like a lot, to show them how weird it is to like be on your phones during theatrical production. And it's like to do that, to show the audience that, to show the connection between I just wanted it to be more one-on-one as opposed to them a show, if that makes sense. I need to write Authenticity in a Musical because I am someone that has drowned in technology before, and given my personality, I'm a very people-pleasing person. I want to see people laugh. I have a codependent relationship with wanting people to be happy, and I spend a lot of time wanting to see my work like get a good reception. So like I want people to laugh, I want people to be happy, and in the world of technology, there's just no such thing. You can't please everyone, and social media is a consistent reminder that you are not good enough compared to other people. So it's a very toxic formula for a lot of people, including myself. And I believe that everybody else doesn't really see how toxic it can be because they don't take it as far as me. So I'm like, there's no better time than right now to tell us a story about how toxic it could be. And even though it doesn't feel like it can go so far, it can go so far. And if it takes a girl catfishing somebody and like them falling in love only to be like pulled apart, like sometimes it's like it has to get that far. Sometimes it goes to bullying. Sometimes I've been bullied in the past for my videos and for kind of like everything I'm trying to do when it comes to putting content out there. And I've had people really say some nasty things when I thought I was trying to just make people laugh. And it made me realize like how really having good intentions and wanting the best in other people can also be on social media, like just nothing is good enough. Like you're never good enough. And I guess I'm trying to show people that like you're always good enough. Like there's always a reason to do this. There's always a reason to try to do something for the greater good, despite what people think about you and what you do. And I felt like we needed this right before we get out of COVID, right after we get out of COVID, until we could stop looking at our phones more than we look into other people's eyes, is how much we should be interacting with this show. It's basically, it's about this social media influencer that goes on around high school and everybody really likes her. But she's uncomfortable and realizes that everybody likes her for the wrong reasons. Nobody even knows her personality. So the only guy in the school that actually is known for his personality is bullied. He's open with his emotions. He's very genuine, and that makes everyone uncomfortable. So they bully him. But when she realizes she wants to actually make a formal connection, she does it the only way she knows how, through social media, creating a fake profile and forming a relationship with him. But the conflict comes in the fact where she has to hide herself in order to be her true self. And then people start finding out. So she starts having to ruins people's reputation. She has to gaslight people. She has to use every tactic in the book to protect her self-image over this human being's life. And then it becomes less about technology and more about how people treat people. And that's what it comes down to, as opposed to technology. Yeah, we've got a great team. I've got a producer and assistant director that have been walking with me through the journey, as like I've never done this before and I'm really not that great at it. So it's a pretty like humbling experience to have an assistant director by my side to really take notes for me and give me pointers if I'm not like doing things as efficiently as I'd like to be. I have a producer that handles my social media and contacts publicists and theaters that helps me try to get these organizations to get these stories into further schools. And my actors are amazing. I have a lead named Erica Cruz and Norman Thatch who are working to the bone to try to get all these musical numbers, lines, and everything down at the same time. You know how important the story is to me. And like my cast, Amanda Bouton, Rachel Logan, Eddie Mayer, Giancarlo Garitano, Jeffrey Delphin, like the rest of my cast. Oh, and Faye Turner, like they're all working like day and night to try and get these down in a way, because none of us have been doing theater or anything really that much in like at least a year. So those guys are working really hard to try to do these characters they didn't initially, some of them didn't think they would get. Not many of them thought they would get the lead or like these other parts. And now that they're committed and they're running the project now, like ever since I gave them the script, it's like they're kind of running the characters and I'm just trying to give them pointers and help them out and get used to this new idea. That's my crew. And that's my crew and my cast. And I can't do it without, and my choreographers are really good too. I couldn't do it without them. Avery Patemri and Blue and Melanie, or Blue Melanie. They're doing like everybody. I don't think I could have done it without any individual department. So those are my backbone for this entire project. Somebody came to me and said it would be a good show in the Fringe Festival, and I was like, oh, this would be great. We were gonna go to Edinburgh, but I was like, that's a little too bold. So we decided to start at the Hollywood Fringe Festival. And that's when I realized it's more important that we reach high schools with teenagers in America right now. And I think the Hollywood Fringe Festival will hopefully be my first connection to any of these high schools to really talk about cyberbullying. And I just wanted it to be local in the area so I could help facilitate the transition from the Fringe Festival stage to high schools to community theaters. Like, I don't want it to be on Broadway. I just want it to be accessible to the age it's written for, which is like teenagers and young adults. Yeah, by the end of the musical, the audience should feel a sense of responsibility that nobody is innocent when it comes to cyberbullying. Then it's that technology has made it such commonplace for hate to be very widely accepted. And I think people should watch the show and really feel like I've said something like that to somebody before. I've communicated that to somebody before. I've noticed that when people are more genuine or don't have a wall up, I've been a little bit harsher, and I want everybody to kind of project themselves onto both of the main characters and see that, like, I've had genuine moments and I've been bullied because of it. And then I've had bad moments and I've bullied because of it. And really, like, see that, like, okay, what steps can I take to really not really, like, put out a version of myself into the world, love and support people, and use that to find a way to peace and encouragement. I really want people to go to my play and the Hollywood Fringe Festival because it's so important to hear these stories that are not universal. We are kind of overclouded by this industry that believes that these mainstream stories are so important, all told by the same race, gender, like it's very clouded with the same voices, because nobody really trusts amateur, like, not experienced. And this is the Fringe Festival is the perfect platform for people that have really important voices that have not been heard yet to really be heard and talk about not including my show, like, talk about other cultures, other experiences, like things that we just, like, theater offers the chance to feel uncomfortable when film gives you the privilege to turn it off. And I think it's really important that we sit down, really take in these shows from beginning to end and listen to people that are telling them, because they're telling them for a reason. And it's a lot of work to do something like that. And it should be our job as humans to seek out people that have not been listened to and really hear their story. I'm hoping that everybody does do that. And I think that's why we all should be going to the Fringe. The shows at the Hollywood Fringe are very important because it's very important that we tell these stories that not necessarily will have other opportunities to be told. And the more we go to these shows, the more we're able to keep the Fringe going, the more success we could lead other people and their shows to. Then our stories can break upon the borders that Hollywood or that other people don't let our stories would normally be told. So I'm hoping that if we could all consistently go, as everybody knows about this, if everybody goes, we can encourage more people to put into the Fringe, more people to get stories out there. We could cloud the industry with way more voices and progressively work toward a better world, if that makes sense. Local theaters are really important because they do tell diverse stories that can't be told anywhere else. And as long as we, like, these are venues we should be supporting and going to outside of the Fringe itself, like making sure that, like, we keep, theater alive, because movies we could watch, phone, TV, anywhere, but theater is supposed to be about a one-on-one connection that's just between human interactions and film. And we need to continuously go to these theaters, support the theaters, make sure that this is an art form that never dies. And I mean, you won't regret going to a show. I just think that we need to do it and remember and appreciate this form and the venues that put them on, because it's not an easy task to do. I'm looking forward. I really hope people like my composer Michael Van Daegum's Smith's tracks. Like, I know they'll like the music. I hope they like my jokes. I really do. I've been like fixing them and like trying to tweak them just so that way they work for people. I really hope to get laughs. I really hope to um, disguise the trauma that the characters um, experience, and hope that the audience still picks up on them anyway. Um, I hope there's some sort of reaction to what's going on the stage, and I hope people I care about, when they see this show, they could see the hurt that does come with social media. And sometimes, you know, for friends and family, I want them to see what I've been through, on a more fun scale, and like really see this story that I'm trying to tell. My name is Johnny Cassidy, and please come see Authenticity the Musical at the Stephanie Fiery Theater this August at the Hollywood Fringe Festival.